It's not uncommon when you're working in a brochure like this one that you want to have the color run all the way to the edge of the document. When you have this sort of scenario, it's important that you set up bleed guides, because what tends to happen is when you send this document to the printer, pages tend to shift, and what you're left with is a thin white line at the edge of your document. So we use bleeds to kind of minimize that risk. So with this document already created, I'm going to go up to File, Document Setup, to bring up the Document Setup dialog box. And I want to pay attention to the bleed and slug area down here at the bottom. And if you don't see it, there's a button over here for more options. Just click on it to expand that window. Now I currently have my bleed and slug set to 0. And the typical setting when you are working in inches like I tend to work, then it would be 1 or 0.125. And you want to make sure that you have your constrained proportions button selected. That way your top, bottom, inside, and outside all remains consistent. When you have that selected, we'll go ahead and click OK. And then that gives us a red bleed guide on the outer edge of our document. So this black line is the edge of our page, and then the bleed line exceeds the edge of our page by 0.125 inches. So all we have to do at this point is select our document and kind of run the edges so that they snap to that red bleed guide. So I'm just going to go around here real quick and snap these around. Oh. And because I have my guide set to snap to, they should just snap right in there along nice and comfy to that edge. And then once you have this set up, there's really only one more thing to do. So we're going to export this as a PDF document. So I'm going to go up to File, Export. And from the Save As type, I want to make sure I have Adobe PDF Print selected. And I'm going to save this just kind of in a version name and click Save. And then that is going to bring up the Export Adobe PDF dialog box. The part that I really want to pay attention to here when we're talking about marks and bleeds is the marks and bleeds section of this dialog box. And I want to make sure that I have all my marks selected. That way the printer knows where the edge of my page is and where the bleed mark is. And most importantly, I want to have my bleed and slug settings selected. So here I have used document bleed settings and it is checked. And I always want to make sure when I'm using bleeds that that is checked. Because if it's unchecked, here's what happens. By default, everything goes to 0 inches. So if I go to PDF this document, I'm not going to have any bleeds. And the printer is not going to see that. So with it unselected, I would have to manually insert again what my bleed options are here. Or if I select that checkbox, then it's going to use what I just chose a few minutes ago at 0.125. And then we can include the slug area if we were going to do that. So here we'll export. I'm getting a little font error. That's okay. And links because we don't have the images. But just for the sake of a demo, that's how we're going to do it. So now what we would typically get in the PDF are crop marks that show where the edge of our document is and where the bleed edge is. And that minimizes our risk to have white lines whenever we print a document.